Welcome to your deep dive. Today we're diving into To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, a classic.
Yeah. But we're not just revisiting the plot,
Right.
We're going deeper, like way deeper into Maycomb itself.
The town.
Yeah, like almost like a travelogue. You shared some incredible excerpts. And our mission is to unearth those little details that really make Maycomb come alive, the stuff that makes it feel real. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And it's fascinating how Harper Lee achieves that. It's not just about telling the story. She builds this world, Maycomb, through these perfectly chosen moments.
Yeah.
Take the story of Sinkfield's Tavern, for example.
Oh, the old inn.
Yeah. Maycomb almost ended up being built right there. Just a twist of fate put it where it is now.
Huh, so you're saying.
And suddenly, it's not just a story on a page.
Yeah.
It's like, we're right there.
You can almost see it, can't you? That dusty crossroads,
Yeah.
the creaky porch swing.
Exactly.
It just sets this whole vibe, this slow Southern time,
And that slowness, that pace, you feel it everywhere. The way kids gather in the town square.
Yeah.
The way gossip just swirls around.
Like a dust devil.
Exactly. And then there are those summer rituals. Lemonade on the porch.
Oh, yeah. I love those descriptions.
Lee just nails it, doesn't she?
She does. And, when Scout describes that lemonade as a summertime ritual, it's so much more than just a drink, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's like she's giving us this secret key to understanding Maycomb's, its whole social structure.
Yeah.
Because right there, woven into those idyllic scenes, are the lines, the very strict lines of Maycomb's social hierarchy.
Oh, yeah.
You've got the Finches, all that background.
Yeah.
The unspoken weight of heritage.
Right.
And then the Cunninghams, proud despite their poverty.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the Ewells, they're kind of languishing down there in the underbelly of it all.
And she doesn't need to, lecture us about class or anything.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
all right there in how people move, how they're treated, how they even carry themselves. Like she's saying, pay attention to how people drink their lemonade.
And then, of course, there's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
It's not just a subplot in Maycomb. It's woven into the very fabric of the town.
Like the air they breathe.
Exactly. The segregated church, Calpurnia living this double life. The way kids just absorb the prejudices. It simmers beneath everything.
Yeah. It's heavy.
But, and this is important, Lee doesn't shy away from the ugly parts.
No, she doesn't.
But she also shows us those flickers of decency that complicate things.
Right. Like Miss Maudie and her cakes.
Yeah.
Always there with warmth and generosity.
And Atticus,
Yeah.
standing firm in his sense of justice, even when the whole town seems to turn against him.
It's that tension, good and bad, light and shadow, that makes Maycomb feel so real,
It's that complexity that makes it a reflection of the South and maybe even of humanity itself.
Yeah.
And as we get to know these people better, the individuals, we see how their stories play out against those norms.
Okay, so let's get into these families then. The folks who make Maycomb's heartbeat.
Sounds good to me.
We got to start with the Finches, right?
I think so.
They're kind of our way in.
They're at the center of everything. They're our lens.
Atticus, he's like the moral compass. He takes on Tom Robinson's case knowing he'll be ostracized.
Right.
But there's this one detail that always gets me. Lee describes him as feeble at almost 50.
Oh, I see what you mean.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
There's this subtle humor to it.
Because he's not this perfect superhuman hero.
Right. He reads the newspaper,
Gets tired.
maybe struggles to keep up with his kids sometimes.
Right. But his strength, his real strength, is in his unwavering commitment to what's right.
Even if it costs him.
Even if it costs him everything. And then there's Jem and Scout, seeing Maycomb with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
Jem, he's right on the edge of adulthood.
That's a tough place to be.
It is.
Yeah.
He's wrestling with disillusionment. He's seeing that gap between Atticus's ideals and the hard reality.
Yeah.
And Scout, our narrator, she leads us through it all with her sharp observations and her unfiltered honesty.
She's learning some hard lessons.
Prejudice, morality, the whole messy business of growing up in a world where things aren't always clear-cut.
Right. And through their eyes, Maycomb becomes this place of both wonder and disillusionment at the same time.
And that's exactly what gives the story its depth, its emotional power.
Yeah.
And then you have, of course, the other Finches. Uncle Jack.
The fun uncle.
Yeah, but even he gets schooled by Scout.
And Alexandra, the defender of all things proper,
Sure.
always trying to mold the children in her image.
They're like these opposing forces, you know, even within the family.
Right, like an echo of the bigger conflicts happening all over Maycomb.
Exactly. But then there's the Radleys, always lurking in the shadows.
Ooh, yeah. Boo Radley. He's like a walking ghost story.
The Radleys, they embody this tendency in Maycomb to be scared of what you don't understand.
Yeah.
Boo becomes this symbol of the other, you know, shunned, judged, but never really known.
Right.
And his brother, Nathan, he keeps that mystery alive.
Almost like he's scared of what might happen if Boo is exposed.
Like he needs that buffer.
It makes you think, what are they so afraid of? What's the real story there?
It's a question that hangs over everything.
Yeah.
And then you have the Cunninghams, struggling but proud.
Yeah.
Walter refusing to take charity, even when he's obviously hungry.
Says a lot, doesn't it?
It does. It highlights their code. Self-reliance, not wanting to be indebted to anyone.
Yeah.
A world apart from the Ewells.
Oh, yeah, the Ewells.
Described as guests of the county, living on the fringes of it all.
No morals, no ambition.
And Bob Ewell, he's practically a villain, right? A ticking time bomb.
He is menacing. And that poverty, that resentment, it just raises the stakes for everything, you know? It's not just social stuff anymore. It's survival. Simmering rage, just waiting to explode.
It really does.
It does.
It really does. It's like that poverty is this fault line running under Maycomb.
Yeah.
And the trial, that's the earthquake, the thing that shakes it all up.
Makes sense.
But even beyond those big moments, those explosions, Lee, she finds these subtle ways to show us that time is passing.
Time. How do you mean?
Remember that detail about the cement patch in the Radley oak?
In the tree.
Yeah. Slowly turning yellow.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Such a small thing, but it speaks volumes. The seasons change. The children grow up. Even the trees, they carry these marks of time. Lee doesn't just tell us. She shows us.
Right. And it makes us feel it, too.
Yeah.
Right alongside the characters.
Exactly. And speaking of art, we got to talk about Lee's language.
Oh, yeah.
The way she uses words to create these pictures in your mind.
It's vivid, isn't it?
It is. Think about that description of Mrs. Dubos's house.
The mean lady.
Yeah. She writes, impossible to go to town without passing it unless we wish to walk a mile out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly we understand the whole layout. The way the houses are all clustered together.
Almost huddled.
Like for protection.
Yeah. And it says something about Mrs. Dubose, too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
This imposing figure you can't avoid.
Her house, it's like this symbol of her will, her refusal to be ignored.
Yeah. You're right. It's brilliant.
And then there's the courtroom during Tom Robinson's trial.
Oh, yeah. That's intense.
She describes the air as heavy, like a winter morning.
Winter morning.
I know, right? Kind of a strange comparison.
It is.
But it works perfectly, that stillness, the sense that something huge is about to happen.
Yeah, she nails it.
She takes these familiar Southern images, lemonade, porch swings, winter mornings.
Yeah.
Twists them just a little and uses them to show us something deeper.
About human nature, about the South itself.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is. And it's not just the imagery, it's the rhythm of her sentences.
Oh.
The way they flow, like the cadence of Southern speech. That slow, deliberate drawl.
Exactly.
The way stories unfold like lazy rivers, meandering towards where they're going.
It's like she's asking us to slow down, to really listen to the heartbeat of Maycomb.
I love that. To listen to the heartbeat. Yeah.
And it's through that attention to detail, to both the place and the language, that she builds this world that just feels so real.
It does. Maycomb, it sticks with you long after you finish the book.
You can practically revisit it anytime you want.
Okay, so we've talked about the atmosphere,
Okay.
the social dynamics, Lee's amazing language.
Yeah.
But what about the people themselves? The ones who live in Maycomb?
Yes. The people. That's where Lee truly shines.
Tell me more.
She creates these characters, these unforgettable characters, all flawed, all complex.
Human.
Human, exactly. They're not just these cookie-cutter types. They jump off the page, you know what I mean?
I do. Okay, I'm ready. Let's do a little character deep dive. You game.
I'm always game for a character deep dive.
All right, first up, Miss Maudie Atkinson. What makes her so special?
Oh, Ms. Maudie. She's like this ray of sunshine in Maycomb.
Yeah, she's great.
Warm, witty, always has a kind word, and a slice of cake for the kids.
Yeah, she does.
But she's also fiercely independent, not afraid to speak her mind, even if it means challenging the whole town.
I love that about her.
She's like the cool aunt everyone wishes they had.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Okay, and then there's Calpurnia, the glue that holds the Finch family together.
Calpurnia, she's so much more than just a housekeeper.
She is.
She's this incredible source of strength and wisdom. She's fiercely protective of Jem and Scout. She's navigating two worlds, the white world and the black world, with such grace and dignity.
She does.
And she's the bridge between those worlds for Scout, helping her understand the complexities of race and class in Maycomb.
Yeah. She's the moral compass Scout needs, especially with Atticus, wrapped up in the trial.
Exactly.
Okay, this one's a little tougher. Bob Ewell. He's the bad guy, right? The villain.
He is, but even with him, Lee doesn't paint him as just pure evil.
Right.
I mean, he's repugnant, ignorant, hateful. But she gives us these glimpses of his life, his poverty, the resentment that's eating him up, all the things that twisted him into what he is.
It's like she's forcing us to think about where evil comes from.
Exactly.
That it's not just some, abstract thing.
He's human, a product of his environment.
Right. And of course, we can't forget the shadow that hangs over everything, Boo Radley.
Boo. He's the enigma, the recluse, hidden away. But as the story goes on, he becomes something more.
Yeah.
He becomes this symbol of lost innocence, of the danger of judging without understanding.
Right. He's like this mirror reflecting all of Macomb's fears and prejudices.
Exactly.
But you also get the sense that he's capable of great compassion.
Yes.
That duality makes him one of the most interesting characters.
Absolutely. And Lee uses his story to really make us question our ideas about good and evil, about who deserves our empathy and who we choose to fear.
Ooh, that's deep. It's like she's saying, don't jump to conclusions. Because the monsters you're scared of, well, they might be the ones who end up saving you.
It's a powerful message, and it runs through the whole book.
This idea of looking beyond the surface, of trying to understand instead of just accepting those easy answers.
It certainly does. And that theme, it really comes to a head in one of the most suspenseful scenes of the whole book.
Which one?
Remember when Scout's walking home from the Halloween pageant?
Oh, man. That scene always gives me chills.
Right.
She's all alone in the dark, wearing that ridiculous ham costume. You can just feel the danger closing in.
Lee, she builds the tension so well.
She does.
All the sensory details, just this atmosphere of dread.
Mm-hmm.
And then, bam, the attack happens.
Out of nowhere.
And who comes to the rescue?
Boo Radley.
Boo Radley.
It's such a turn, isn't it?
It is.
The monster everyone's afraid of becomes the hero.
It completely flips our expectations.
Yeah.
And, it also flips this classic Southern Gothic trope on its head.
Oh, yeah. How sad.
The grotesque character.
Okay.
Propulsive, but also kind of sympathetic. Boo, he fits that mold. Isolated, different. But Lee, she turns it all around. She shows us the compassion underneath.
Mm-hmm. It's like she's saying, hey, look a little closer. The things that scare you, they might just surprise you.
Right.
Don't judge a book by its cover and all that. And what really gets me, Boo, he does this incredibly heroic thing after being shut away for years.
Yeah.
Practically forgotten.
It's like his isolation, instead of making him bitter, has allowed his empathy to grow. Shielded from all the prejudice, he sees the children for who they are.
And acts selflessly.
Yes.
But then, after this amazing act of courage, he goes right back into the shadows.
He does.
Scout never sees him again. Why do you think Lee chose to end it that way?
That's the thing about that ending.
Yeah.
It sparked so many different interpretations.
Right.
That's part of what makes it brilliant.
Uh.
On one hand, it shows us how fragile Boo is.
Yeah.
He's not ready for the attention, the scrutiny.
He wouldn't know how to handle it.
It would be like throwing a bird that's never flown into a hurricane. Maycomb? It's not ready for Boo.
And maybe Boo's not ready for Maycomb.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by leaving it open like that, Lee makes us think about heroism, about courage, and about the way society fails those who are different.
Yeah, powerful stuff. Thinking about Boo, it makes me think about all the other characters who choose to be kind, to be brave, even when it's hard.
Like who?
Atticus. He knows he's going to lose Tom Robinson's case, but he defends him anyway.
Right.
Miss Maudie standing up to all those gossipy folks.
Right.
Calpurnia always guiding Scout, even when she pushes back. And Jem, he overcomes his fear to protect his sister.
Like they're all challenging Maycomb's ways, little by little.
Planting seeds of change.
Exactly.
And it gives me hope, even though the book deals with such tough stuff.
It is important.
It is. It's like Lee's showing us that those little acts of defiance, of compassion, they matter. They can make a difference.
And that, I think, is the power of this book. It doesn't shy away from the darkness, the injustice, all the ways we mess up.
Mm-hmm.
But it reminds us that there's light, too, that there are always going to be people who choose empathy, who fight for what's right, even when it feels impossible.
Yeah. We started out focusing on those tiny details of Maycomb.
We did.
But this deep dive, it's been so much more. It's like we've taken this journey into the heart of a story that still speaks to us today.
It does. It makes us look at ourselves, our own biases, our own capacity for courage.
And kindness.
And kindness. And hopefully our listeners feel that too. Maybe they'll see the world a little differently. Pay attention to those little details, the ones that tell us so much about who we are.
I hope so.
Maybe they'll even be inspired to act with a little more compassion, a little more understanding, even when things are tough.
Because To Kill a Mockingbird, it reminds us that those choices, they matter. That even in a world as messy as Maycomb, as messy as ours, that fight for justice, for empathy, it's worth it.
It is.
It really is.
Well said. Well said. And with that, we'll leave you to think about Maycomb, about its lessons, about its hope. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep the spirit of deep diving alive